Hey guys, this is Dan with Gears and Gadgets. Thanks for tuning in. I've been doing pretty good with this video a day. I think this is my 5th day in a row. Again, doing a video a day till we get to 100,000 subscribers, something I'm super passionate about. I've got a side-by-side sitting here, which we're gonna talk about in a minute, but I also have some things that I need to do to my Harley coming up soon. I've also got a really absurd tool for the garage that I just picked up, not sponsored. That'll be coming in another video. I think I'm gonna do like an entire tool review video and just kind of go through some of the things that I have here in the garage because it's actually gotten pretty ridiculous. I was walking around here today thinking like, man, this is getting to be pretty crazy that over the years I've just built up kind of quite a bit of stuff here. So again, I've got some stuff. I need to actually change the front tire on the Harley. That's coming soon. I've got the Rabiconda tire changer, all that. We'll get into that again coming up here shortly. But today I wanted to talk about the RZR Pro S. This just got delivered to my house a couple days ago, and these machines are insane. And I find myself just grabbing a beer, which we'll do that now. Grab one of these all-day IPAs, favorite go-to right now. I want to go through this with you guys and just kind of show you some of what I admire on these machines. I was actually just out with Polaris at Camp RZR, I don't know, a couple months back, and had an opportunity to rip one of these machines in the dunes. And I've got to say, they are absolutely amazing what these machines can do. Now, as I've gotten further into making a lot of truck content, doing suspension upgrades on the truck, I've started to really learn that there is nothing better than a purpose-built machine. You can build your truck up all you want with as much off-road capability as you possibly can. It is not going to hold a candle to a RZR unless you're building yourself a trophy truck. This Pro S, this is the RZR Pro S Ultimate, is coming in at $40,000. It's built to just beat the snot out of. These RZRs, you know, you can just hammer down and float over everything. And when I'm out there in the desert, just bombing around, I am always just mind blown that these things don't just blow to smithereens. So first, the shocks. These Fox Live Valve, these are the 3.0s. It's really hard to describe how insanely tuned, well-tuned these shocks are. The front and rears have 22 inches of usable travel. And when you're out there, which I will show you guys when we get out on the trails, I'm actually going to rig up some cameras so you can see just how well these things are absorbing bumps. It just eats it up. And this machine has the Dynamix DV active suspension. And what that means is that you have on the steering wheel here a little red Dynamix button. What that button does is when you tap it, it actually firms up the suspension. So if you're going to hit or see like a really big obstacle coming and you're gonna smash into the ground, you can hit that Dynamix button and it will instantaneously firm that up. I'll show you on the dash what that looks like in a moment, but suspension on these things is just absolutely mind-blowing. In terms of tires, they are an off-road, obviously 32-inch tire sitting on a 15-inch wheel. Totally sufficient for what they do. You can see the brakes here are actually drilled rotors to help keep them cool, and the braking is more than adequate out of these machines. Now, powering the RZR Pro S is a twin cylinder. It is a dual overhead cam, 4-stroke, putting out 181 horsepower. The turbo on this thing, it spools up pretty quick, and it's plenty of power. When I was out in the dunes, there wasn't a single moment where you're out there thinking like, man, I wish I had more power. Now you can bump up to the RZR Pro R, and that's gonna put you up to 225 horsepower. I love those machines also, but I think the Pro S it's really not all that much of a compromise. Now the real compromise when you're looking at any of the Polaris lineup of side-by-sides compared to say like a Ranger or an Expedition is that those machines are gonna have a much more, I guess, utility focus to them. The Expedition is more than capable. The General is more than capable. I actually had one of those and was really surprised with how well that thing handled off-road. Now, you're never going to really bottom these things out when you talk about a RZR. When you get into the General, you may. When you get into the Expedition, it's a little more composed. This is just the top of the chain when it comes to off-roading. Let's get inside the vehicle here and talk about some of the niceties in here. Now, the one thing that trips everybody up in these RZRs is that the door opening button is not on the outside of the vehicle, it's on the inside and the front, and then the doors open kind of like a suicide open door, which most people do get tripped up with. Hopping in the RZR, we'll fire up the ignition. Some of the nice, right off the bat, new things that they did for 2025 was color matched some of the dash trim panels. They also added these nice LED accent strips, which I think is also a really nice touch, especially when you're talking about the price point here. Now, they also upgraded the gauge cluster. I still think this is getting a little bit long in the tooth in terms of like this center digital display they have here. It'd be nice to have a little bit more of a complementary screen to what you have here for the center dash. But for what it is an off-road machine, and I think it's still very functional when you're, driving and you got your hands on the wheel. The information you want to see here is there. You can also customize what you're looking at here as well through some of these, different menus, which is nice. But it would be nice, in my opinion, to have a little bit more of like this experience over here as well. The sound system, which we'll get into here as I'm getting into some Supertramp. This is the Rockford Fosgate Stage 4 system, and it's insane. We'll cut that off. This Polaris ride command system is so ridiculously nice. I love this more than I think almost any other system out there. There's so much here. This is the Dynamics controls that I was talking about earlier. So with the suspension, if you come over here and hit this button, you'll see it will actually stiffen up the compression. It's nice to be able to firm up that compression on a moment's notice, and you can definitely tell the difference when you're hitting really hard kind of obstacles. It's a really, really, really nice function. I really enjoyed that when I was out in the dunes. And then here we have our customizable dash. So you can actually come in here, change these screens. So turbo there. Here's all of my different data points. There's so much in here that you can customize these screens with, and also the appearance of those screens. We have GPS, which I will blur out for the sake of not doxing myself. Our phone connectivity, this also has Apple CarPlay. I'm not going to get into that right now. If you've seen Apple CarPlay, you've seen it a million times. I love CarPlay. It is awesome. Here we have our audio controls, and then volume up and down. This doesn't really have any options. We've got a lot of the blanked out switches here, but you can add tons of light bars, all kinds of things. Now, in terms of adding things, this is one thing that I do wish that all of them would come with, which is a mirror up here. Backing these things up can be a bit of a bear because you have no side mirrors and you have no mirror up here. You do have, when you go into reverse, a backup screen, which is, it's nice. You're not going to hit anybody being able to see with these cameras, but it would be nice to have a mirror. I also prefer the mirror when I'm off-roading to see if anybody's coming up on the trail behind me. Without it, you really can't see. We've got, on the steering wheel here, we've got our ride modes. So as I go up through there, you'll see we've got Comfort, which we're in now. You've got Track, Rock, and Baja. That, of course, is going to change things like suspension tuning, throttle inputs, all of those kinds of things. You're actually getting a lot more like automotive style stuff here on the steering wheels, which is pretty nice. We've got some storage here. You got storage in the center, storage over here. Nice little spots to kind of stow away some things. Nothing really here in the center console area. One of the things that they've added into these machines that I am a huge fan of is right down here. There's a lot of people that are probably going to buy these machines and not even realize that this is here. They have a vent so you can open and close and get some airflow, which when you're out in the desert and it's 110 degrees outside, having some airflow in here as opposed to just a bunch of stagnant air down here in the footwells is it's a very nice thing to have, to be able to open those and get a little more airflow there. This machine itself does not have the air-conditioned seats, but I got to experience those air-conditioned seats. It's almost a necessity, at least when you're in these areas like I am, where it's just ungodly hot. Those air-conditioned seats, very, very worth it. Now over here, we've got just our basic light controls. We've got high beam, low beam. It's also nice too, because they have a nice little like delayed. It's like a nice slow on and off, which is really sharp. So over here we have 2-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. Now another thing they've added for this year is these Fang lights, which this was something that people used to do in the aftermarket all the time. So it's nice that they just kind of implemented that design feature. You just shut the machine off. There you go. Nice little animated light turning off feature. Now, one thing I will also add too is there is a battery tender down here. So there's a port right next to the steering wheel. It's nice to have the battery tender port there. I'll actually throw this one on a tender at some point because these press vehicles do a lot of like short on off type things. So when I get these, I do like to take care of them because why wouldn't you? These vehicles are belt driven. So it's kind of like a CVT type setup where this belt is something where you could theoretically have to change it out on the trail. But I have this belt because one of the press vehicles I got quite a while ago, the people who had it before me had apparently been really having a good time with it and smoked one of the belts. So I have this one. This one was slipping. It was just slipping a little bit. So I actually kept this belt just in case I maybe needed it in a pinch if I'm out on the trail. Just kind of an extra spare. But getting to the belts in these is actually really not all that difficult. Basically these seats, they pull out really easy. There's just a little latch here on the back of the seat, which you pop up. It opens up the rear. There's some thumb screws back there. I'm not gonna pull it all apart right now, but getting to it is actually quite an easy thing to do. You got some thumb screws up there. There's a bunch of videos online on how to change the belts. It's really not all that complicated. That's really the most maintenance aside from like basic oil changes, things like that you're gonna have to do. But you've got your engine oil dipstick down back in here. In terms of maintenance on these kinds of things, there's just so much access here to get to the rest of the motor here, spark plugs, all of those kinds of things. You've really just got a handful of bolts up here. This whole tub comes out and then you can access it. It's all pretty darn simple. So again, today I just wanted to come out here and give you guys a real quick overview of this Polaris RZR Pro S that was delivered to me that I'm gonna take out and rip in the next week or so and make some content on and just kind of show you guys what these machines are all about. Because at 40 grand, it's not cheap, but I honestly think for what you're getting out of like suspension package and overall the ability that these things have to just take a beating is unheard of. So that is the Polaris RZR Pro S. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to support the channel, and I will see you guys next time. Well, tomorrow.